Presented by Betano, we are live on location. Can you believe it's the first time ever we're together in studio?
That does seem a little bit weird, but I think it's gonna be au naturel, just like every other day.
Why? The other shows are not natural? Is that what we're saying?
It's a little different in person, though. I like it. I think I like it.
What are the chances you move to Toronto to do this show?
Oh, they're so slim and none. I'm just a good Western boy, buddy. I don't know if you can bring that. I don't know if you can bring me out here.
Well, I'm waiting for the video tribute tomorrow night at Scotiabank Arena. I should mention as well, we're live from the Seagram's VO Whiskey Studio at Sponsorship X. It's Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, Leafs Morning Take, a variety of guests coming up too. This should be fun, bud.
I know, I'm excited, man. I flew in yesterday, and the city has a palpable buzz to it right now. It's like building. Something's going on. I don't know if you put your finger on it if you didn't know, but something's definitely building out there. The city's buzzing right now.
It's called King Street West. You know what that is?
Yes,
that's what's popping off. But the one thing I was thinking about last night, why didn't anybody pull out of this All-Star game this year? Every year there's like a couple guys like, yeah, no thank you, but not this year.
Didn't seem like, well, I was wondering because Ovi kind of made a little thing about before they even picked any All-Stars, he's like, I'm out, I need to get work done or whatever. You think he would even have been picked with his, how many goals he got?
9.
Not All-Star worthy.
He's on pace for 16 goals.
It's kind of arrogant to say, hey, I'm backing out of the All-Star game when you probably wouldn't be picked anyway, isn't it?
So let the record show it took about, I don't know, not even wearing a watch. It took you 3 minutes to chirp somebody who's like a future Hall of Famer, one of the best goal scorers of all time. So I'm just waiting for the Mitch Marner one. It's coming.
Isn't that a more of a LeBron James thing to do, Ovi?
Yeah.
Excuse yourself from the All-Star game and you probably wouldn't be going to the All-Star game?
Well, I saw last night he was in Dubai, so he's having a good time.
Was he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy knows what he's doing over there, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you, the listener and viewer, know what you're doing. At the Leafs Nation 401, where you can subscribe on YouTube. Search Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcasts as well. We'll pop up. Leave us a review as well. Tell us how hot Rosie looks today.
Hot to trot.
How was last night, by the way? Did you get after it a bit, snap it around?
I cruised around some old places. My biggest disappointment of the night, though, when I got traded here, I was on King Street and Kitty Corner there on Blue Jay Way was the Underground, just this legendary bar.
Yeah.
And I realized where we were, and I turned to that Kitty Corner to see the Underground again, and it is a skyscraper, dude. It's completely leveled. I was very disappointed. Many, many good nights in that place. It was like this hometown little pub feel, bar feel that you don't always get.
I poured out a drink when the Underground died.
Did ya?
It was, I think it was during the pandemic, and it was
did that kill it?
It was the toughest moment for me. I won't lie. There was that, and then Two Cats closed. Like, that's one of my establishments that I love going to on King Street West, and I will be at this weekend. I wear the shirt sometimes, but when those two places like died, I'm like, we got an issue here. There's a world pandemic.
Two Cats survived, though, right? You took me there.
Yeah, I did.
Good.
I did, and we plan on going there as well. I should mention as well, brought to you by DoorDash, it's time for the appetizer. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off, up to $10 in value and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app. Enter code NATION25. That's code NATION25, uppercase for that. 25% off your first order with DoorDash. And we have Anthony Stewart coming up in about 10 minutes from now. He's sitting first row just watching us and waiting. We got Jackie Redmond coming up in about 25 minutes, and Shane O'Brien's going to stop by too.
Yeah, so it'll be a nice lineup of guests. I actually ran in to Stewie last night randomly, doing a little pub hopping, and there's Stewie. Like, it seems like a small town out here, man. It was good to see a familiar face, and then reacquainted myself with him this morning. So
we have a familiar story from our time in Vegas at All-Star a couple years ago. He's just an authority guy. Like, Stewie's a guy, you can go to any market in this league. He'll know somebody. He'll have a link. He'll have a connect somewhere. So I'm depending on Stewie this weekend, by the way. He's shaking his head, but depending on him.
He's the dude, and he knows it. He's just too bashful.
Too bashful. But, hey, I guess we are here to talk about, we talked about this off air. The festivities on the ice, great story. I had to do some digging last night on the whole skills competition, how that's breaking down. I guess only Nylander and Matthews are taking part in that. No, your boy Mitch Marner, not going to be there. Morgan Riley, who we found out, by the way, today got married under the radar in Toronto. Pretty crazy. Not recently, but I think last summer. The story, I saw it on social media today. But what are your expectations? Because I know you've been horned up. Let's not lie. Last year, Jay Rosehill came on this show directly after my great-ass time. I had a fantastic fucking time in Sunrise. It was incredible. Yeah. You came on and just buried All-Star Weekend, and then we had Steve Mayer on the show the next day. So defend yourself. Why is it your expectation the on-ice product's going to be better this year, Rosie?
Well, I don't want to be critical, but I mean, last year you got, and for a while now, I understand they're trying to make it fun. They're trying to get all kinds of different, markets and kids involved, and people who don't normally follow hockey and pull different stops out to try to make it interesting. But I don't know, when these NHLers and these all-star guys, their skill is what's entertaining, but when they come out with big goofy glasses and fireworks on their cowboy hat and stuff, I don't know. It kind of drives me nuts. It's kind of like the NHL to me is on a pedestal. It is this thing that is, every kid growing up in North America and Europe, looks at the NHL and says this is like the end-all be-all of leagues. And I respect that, and I hold that in high account. And to see them do this goofy stuff kind of bothers me. But that was last year. It's all good. They're down in Florida, a different market. I think this year with the way they're doing the skills challenge, man, I am because I don't know, okay, so-and-so wins the shooting contest. So-and-so wins the hardest shot. Like, whatever. Like, what's the point, right? Okay, yeah. Shea Weber's got the hardest shot. Cool. But, this is finally, and I mean, it's so simple. Let's get the best of the best that are part of the best of the best that are all together. Let's get the top 12. And run them through like a decathlon of sorts of skills and see who's got it all. See who can skate, who can shoot, who can pass, everything, right? And I'm interested because I have no idea who could win that thing or how hard. I think they're going to be trying hard. $1 million on the line. You'd assume them to be giving it their all. And I'm excited to watch it. I think it's going to be a wicked addition, and I just assume it's going to go really well, and they're going to do this a lot in the future.
I know you hate when I say this, but I am sort of a veteran of these All-Star weekends. The only decathlon you're going to find is on King Street West, buddy. I don't know what you're looking for. These guys are not here to play hockey. How do I put that in words for you? That is probably the way I would phrase it.
I know it's not, and that's kind of always been the gripe.
I don't know what you're looking for.
How do we get these guys to go hard? I mean, it's their time off too. They're buddies. They're catching up. No one wants to get hurt, and it just becomes this thing. Like, what are we playing for? Who would go hard like that, right? But now, I mean, I don't know what the game's going to be like. It's probably going to be more of the same. A lot of mic'd up guys, a lot of laughs, and going through the motions and kind of trying some high-risk plays and high-skill plays. It's all good. But this skills thing tomorrow, to me, is going to be – I'm going to be glued to it. I'm going to be watching. I want to know who's going to win. How hard are you going to go? Like $1 million on the line. They're going to, when the time's ticking down and they got the last, they're going to be trying hard. And I want to see who pulls it out skill-wise because they're all wicked. Like who's got it all, well-rounded skill top to bottom. I'm excited for it.
And that's the difference this year is that we're going to see just 12 players go after it, and there's a point system involved. And I wanted to get to the prize money, which again is tough to quantify because these are all multi-millionaires out there, and it's an all-star game, so all these guys are making an obsessive amount of money. But do you think adding the $1 million purse is going to change the incentive of these guys? Because I won't lie, I'm right there with you. I tend to agree. I think the thing missing has been the effort level, but it's an all-star game. I've always looked at it as for the kids and extracurricular, I can't even say it, curricular activities off the ice that make the weekend for these guys.
Yeah, and that's what they like, and you get to meet guys and play with guys that you wouldn't otherwise and see who you like and run into buddies you used to play with, and it's all fun for them, and they get that, and you're not playing for the Stanley Cup, right? I get that. Yeah. But what do you do to make these guys go hard? It's always been the question. What do you incentivize, like you say, a bunch of millionaires with? But it's got to be something, and $1 million, it's flashy, it's it's that, $1 million. I don't care who you are. That means something.
They get taxed, or
yeah, they'll probably get taxed out the ass.
Well,
here.
they'll get $2,000.
But I think they're going to be going hard, man. I think when the time's ticking down and they got 2 pucks left, blah blah blah, it's ticking down. I think you're going to see them bear down and try, man. I just have high hopes for it. It's a neat concept, so simple, so obvious. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I just enjoy the contrast. Last year you buried the event, and all of a sudden we had $1 million, and Rosie's like, "This is going to be the best thing ever." I think you're saying that because it's Toronto. I think you're saying that because you're here. But let's not lose sight of the fact. Last year I was there at All-Star Weekend, and Matthew Tkachuk was the story, understandably so. The talk of Sunrise. I sort of feel proud, not even sort of. I think it really is cool to have the hockey world here and the Maple Leafs hosting, and the year that Austin Matthews is having. Willie Nylander's been fantastic. Mitch Marner's been better as of late. Morgan Riley's an all-star. It's showcasing Toronto, and I know people hate it. I do think we're still the hockey mecca. We're the big smoke. It's so great to be hosting this thing.
Well, it is, and I mean, where do you do these things at? Do you do them at small markets and try to get, more people to get eyeballs on it in different markets, or do you go to the big one and like this and hammer it home where everyone here is desperate for a seat anywhere, anything to do with the Leafs or hockey or NHL in this market? It's the hottest ticket in town, but you got to do it once in a while. You got to bring it to the big show. And I mean, like I said, I wasn't joking when I said the city's got a little buzz to it. Like something's happening this weekend, you can tell, and it's not even the weekend yet, but I can feel it, and it's going to be big, and it's hockey, like you say, in the mecca, and that pisses people off. It pisses people off.
Fuck 'em.
Where I'm from, the center of the universe and everything. But it really is, man. This is the hockey mecca, and for good reason. I mean, you cruise around and you see old Maple Leaf Gardens and the Hall of Fame, and just the whole setup downtown is pretty badass. And I think that no horses will be spared here on this weekend, and they're going to do it upright. And I think it'll be one of the better All-Star games in recent memory. I just expect that.
I was going to ask you, you've only been back select time since being a Toronto Maple Leaf. Do you remember that buzz, that feel, that excitement in the air of being here in Toronto? I know you played, how many games as a Leaf? You scored 5.5 goals in your NHL career.
I don't even know what it is, to be honest. But no, like really, when you play for the Leafs and you wake up, you get your suit on, you're driving down Lakeshore, Gardner, and I mean, you can see those lights on the top of what was the Air Canada Centre when I was here, Scotiabank now, and just those things are going back and forth into the air, and everyone's getting off work, and everyone's got their jersey on, and the bars are packed, and everyone's hustling and piling on the trains, and it's just like, oh, baby, game night. And it's just kind of, it's like nowhere else, man. It really is like nowhere else. Maybe in Montreal there's kind of that buzz downtown, but I don't know, like Toronto, you could just feel it. It was palpable, like I say, and it got you jacked up because everyone around you is excited. It's hard not for that to rub off on you.
Yeah, I was going to say I live downtown, and usually Saturday nights, you just have that feel. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to buzz. I want to go watch a Leafs game. You get that feel every springtime. Like, we have that conversation with our mutual friend, Devontae Smith-Pelly, won a Stanley Cup a couple years back with Washington. We went out after the Leafs won that first-round series against Tampa, and he laughed in my face. Like, and he's such a pleasant dude, so he just laughed it off. But like, you could tell he's like, this is a fucking joke. Like, you guys are celebrating, but it just speaks to the market, how incredible this market is. And if the Leafs ever won the Stanley Cup in our lifetime, what the parade would look like, what the celebration would look like, Rosie.
Oh, I mean, I was here when they won the gold medal there in Vancouver, and Dundas Square was just like, guys are hanging off the lamp posts and traffic signs. It's crazy. And yeah, I wasn't down here, but you told me, after the first round win, it had been 20 years, man. It's just flying. I don't know if this town could handle it if they won the Stanley Cup. Like, I don't know what would happen. It would be insane, and I don't even know what that would entail. Yeah. But people would lose their bloody minds. Like, generationally, there'd be 80-year-old men and women that are just celebrating to the heavens that they got to see one before their time on this earth was done, and young kids, like, everybody would just be floored by it. People are laughing that aren't Leafs fans because they're going, you're a long ways away from that, boys, but hey, I get it, but they're trying like anybody else, and if they pulled it off, whoever was on that roster, man, you would just go down in history like forever as a legend in this town.
And sadly, I think we both concur this team is far away from the prospects of that, but a lot can change in a short period of time. And I would say that the closest feel we have in this market is when TFC won. No, I'm kidding. When the Toronto Rock won. No, I'm kidding on that front. It was when the Raptors won. I was there, but I'll tell you, the degenerates came out for that, man. Oh,
are they wrecking shit or no?
Yeah, the looters come out. I fear for the day. Well, I don't fear for the day, but it would be intriguing to see what it would look like in this market. But let's win a playoff series again. Let's do that first. That was a good time.
What are they doing this year, man?
Oh, fuck, we're going to get into that. Okay, Anthony Stewart's coming up. Shout out to Seagram's VO Select Canadian Whiskey, artfully blended and impeccably crafted. Make it your very own. Seagram's VO Select is currently available in select LCBO stores in Ontario. Again, we're live from the Seagram's VO Whiskey Studio at Sponsorship X.
My family's very own whiskey, barrel-aged and set apart, marked with VO, artfully blended, impeccably crafted, as a wedding gift to my son, for the bride and groom. And now, over a century later, from our very own family to yours, a legacy rooted in whiskey. Seagram's VO, growing deeper, reaching out, raising a glass to your legacy. Seagram's VO, make it your very own.
All right, welcome back to Leafs Morning Take. We have our first guest of this 2-day series. First and foremost, shots on goal, GA and PPG can make or break your week, but don't overlook BPMM, Wendy's Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt. Sure may not help you win weekly prizes with Wendy's and Daily Face-Off Fantasy, but unlike your predictions, it never disappoints. So try your luck, but don't push it because the Bacon Portobello Mushroom Melt is only back for a limited time. Sign up for Daily Face-Off today, sponsored by Wendy's and the Wendy's app. Do you feel bad, Anthony Stewart? That's how I bring you in.
Well, I'm more of a I like the Baconator too, but remember a couple of years ago when I told you there's probably only 4 or 5 hosts in the city. There's only one host that can do that read in one take. So congratulations. That's
the other's Tally Ramchuk. He's damn good at reads.
Yeah.
He taught me my ways.
Okay.
Stewie.
What's up? I was gonna say long time no see, but
Didn't you last night?
a little late on our way out the door. Right?
I want the details on this.
No, there's no details.
This is R-rated
It's
stuff.
All-Star, right? What happens at All-Star stays at All-Star, but
Stewie's everywhere.
it's great. It's great just even walking into the building today. You can feel the buzz. You can feel the energy, just people, getting excited. So for me, I've been downtown since Monday at a conference for the Carnegie Initiative with my charity, and it's just great seeing the city of Toronto being on display on behalf of the league.
Aside from Dave Pagnotta, I've never seen somebody move in for like an all-star weekend like you do. Like it's a fucking 14-day event for you. Skyrock, like everything.
It's funny. Our good friend Kate Allicock, he's like, I packed for 2 weeks. Like, I'm ready to elope. I'm like, well, did you bring your passport? He's like, no, should I? Because you never know what happens at All-Star. Right?
Stewie, we're talking before. I'm hard on the All-Star game sometimes, some of the antics and gimmicks, and you've been around it for a long time and seen a bunch of them. What's your take on them? Do you like the way they're moving and like last year's compared to what we're set up for this year? What direction do you think they need to go? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What are you seeing?
I like the fact now they're trying to make it a little bit more competitive by adding that $1 million. So I'm just trying to think, if I'm an All-Star, which I never was, and I'm coming to this weekend and there's $1 million on the line, whether you make $3 million, $5 million, or 15, that's a lot of money. So you got to take it a little bit easy, hanging out with Alberta the whole entire week. But as a player, you're like, fastest skater, this and that. You're like, it's kind of gimmicky. But what I understand now that I'm on the side with my charity and the philanthropy, this is for the big wigs and the people in the league to come together, all the sponsors, and let their hair down. Like I mentioned, I was at a conference, and you got to sit there and you got to network and you got to hand in your resumes. Kane's already, tried to apply for 3 jobs with the NHL already. That's what this week's about. It's a bit of a reset. Everyone just comes in and you get that party atmosphere before going back to your respective cities and getting back to work.
The $1 million, do you like that incentive? Do you think that's going to be enough? And then like the B side of that question, so the winner, how much of that $1 million will they spend on King West tonight or Friday night?
All of it. You imagine that? And that's funny. It used to be myself, Devontae Smith-Pelly, Wayne Simmons, my brother. So there's like 8 NHLers, and we used to play in this money tournament. It cost $2,000 to get in, and the winners get $4,000. Mm-hmm. So we would take it so seriously the Friday, the Saturday, winning this money. But every Saturday night we would go out, and we'd come in, guys would be missing, and we'd get our ass kicked by some random team from Woodbridge.
Yeah.
And my brother was sick and tired of losing. He's like, if I find out any one of these guys are playing in this tournament again, you're dead. You're dead. I will kill you in the National Hockey League. So that was for $5,000. So that's the competitive spirit of these guys that are in the National Hockey League. They want to win. They want to be known as, the best of the very, very best. So I really like that idea of that competition. Yes, the best are here, but who is going to be ranked the best of the best in the hockey mecca of Toronto? So it's exciting. I got my money on Austin Matthews. I think, he can pick up and take a private plane to New York City and no one even knows. So I don't think he's really worried about the big parties because I think he can do that on himself by himself. Yeah. But it's going to be excited. I'm going to the women's event tonight. I'll be at Skills tomorrow. I have to coach my minor hockey game Saturday, so we'll see if my stunt double can coach on my behalf. But it's a great weekend. I'm excited.
I like it. So Matthews, you think's taking her all down in the Skills?
Oh yeah.
Is that your money?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got my $5 on him.
Yeah. Because you're a big better, right?
Yeah, $5. Yeah.
Yeah. We love our friends over at Betano for sure, but that's the unique thing about this. So like you were there last year. Obviously you were in Vegas. Like I like the fact that we're like showcasing the talent we have in this market because. Again, we're in the thick of things on a daily basis, Stu. You've been covering this league, Rosie as well for a long period of time. You guys played in the league. There's just something different about Toronto. We talked about it off the top. this is the one year like nobody pulled out of All-Star, right? Like everybody wants to be here. Like even Jack Hughes, I've been fucking laughing the last week. The guy's injured. There was no way he was playing, but there was way he's showing up, and he is here.
Yeah,
so is Connor Bedard, by the way.
It's funny. One of my media member friends, like, you know, he's working All-Star, and he needed a tracksuit, and he knows that I have some good tracks. Like, can I borrow a because he wanted to look extra spiffy because it's Toronto, and, you know, the best of the best are going to be here. So, like, that's what it is. There's just something about this city and the Mecca. Like, I was at an event yesterday, and they were selling these hats, and I'm like, I bought 3 hats, and I'm the cheapest guy in the league here. So, you know, again, I'm going to be spending a lot of money this weekend on and off the ice, but it's very, very exciting. But there's just something about this market where it's the who's who, right? And I was at an event last night, and, you know, everyone short of Drake pretty much showed up. It was a big, big deal. You know, you're seeing PK throw parties. So it's going to have that element where I think it's going to be the who's who that are showing up. And I'm taking a nap this afternoon to get ready. So.
You better. What about the game? I mean, they've been trying to spice it up. I mentioned that I like what they're doing with this skills competition, like an overall winner. A certain group of guys do everything. That's exciting. But as far as the game goes, what do you want to see out of it? Do you want to see, like, Jeremy Roenick, like, rub a guy out and kind of play tough? Or do you like to see him mic'd up and shooting the shit and being buddy-buddy? Or do you want a little bit of skin in the game? What are you seeing?
I'd like to see them amp it up just a little bit, but I like the little nuances of the game. I like those little backhand passes, or those, you know, the defenseman that throws that 150-foot sauce pass, stuff that is, you know, not you see in a regular game. But, you know, for me, what I feel this event is this kid whose family paid X amount of dollars, and they're coming out just to see their heroes on the ice. They get to see an Austin Matthews against a McKinnon, against some of these top guys, just them being in that stands, in that atmosphere. They might not be able to see a guy that plays on the West Coast in person that might play for, I was going to say Anaheim Mighty Ducks, but the Vancouver Canucks or a team like that. So that's what it's for. I think it's for the fans, and I think the young fans, that's what it's for. Yeah. So whether it's 10-2 or they're rubbing each other out, the fact that they're there and they get to see their heroes, that's the most important thing.
Man, I've heard whispers that tickets are going for obscene amounts. And, like, you look at previous years.
Well,
man,
I have
like,
a partnership. I have a partnership with the NHL and NHLPA, so I got a couple. But,
I do too, but it's like, can I scalp them or what?
Well, I know a guy that knows a guy that might know a guy. But that's illegal, by the way.
Fair enough. Not admitting to it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but what I'll tell you is there's a lot of tickets donated to local charities and local foundations. So, yes, we know the market is a bunch of suits that come to the games and all that, but you're going to see a great mixture. And that's another thing with Toronto. What they love doing is, you know, promoting and celebrating diversity, right? We know hockey is a, you know, social elite sport, but they've been doing amazing jobs of collaborations with, you know, myself and my charity and Hockey Quality, but they're doing their best to make it a little bit more diverse, and I'm sure you're going to see it this weekend.
How about the team on the ice? You know, we lose sight of the fact that we are here at All-Star Weekend, but man, I feel like I've lost 5 years off my life covering this team this year. Like, they just drive me insane.
It's just, for me, I'm just like, we were talking about the same thing 4 years ago. So I feel like I'm in the Matrix or Groundhog's Day. I'm like, well, this is the last year of the core four. If they don't get it done, I'm like, was that pre-pandemic or post-pandemic? I got the worst memory.
The same shit every year.
But and we'll argue, and I think Rosie and I go back and forth on this, is the guys are paid. They're paid. They're getting older, and every year that they have that heartbreak, they mature, and there's an evolution to them. So unless they're totally, and I don't think you can say all 4 players don't give a shit. They do.
Yeah.
They're going to have to get it right sooner than later. So I know you're not thinking they're a contender this year, but say Wall does come back and he comes in and puts in a Binnington performance. That's the number one factor for the playoffs is goaltending. And I like the fact that Samsonov's rebounded in a small sample size, but they have that 1-2 combo. They can steal a series. Right? Matthews isn't slowing down. He can have a 10-goal series. So he does that. The big guys step in. I want to see what they're going to do on the defense. Are they going to add another guy or two that could come up and eat some minutes? And I've been talking about Justin Falk for 5 years now, a guy that can play defense, can play offense, can get in the mix. And that was a reasonable cap hit, 3-4 years ago. Yeah. So they need to find a guy like that, but where's the assets? Where they don't have the assets.
They don't want to trade anybody, though.
They don't have the assets. And we were arguing, oh, they need to trade Nyes, get rid of Nyes. And I'm like, dude, it's my job to watch Matthew Nyes. I'm like, this guy is going to step in and he's going to be a Chris Kreider type player, JT Miller type player. So World Series of Poker, what do you need? Chip in a chair. They have the offense. If they get the goaltending and they add another D or two, they strike gold and lightning at the right minute, at the right moment, who knows what happens.
How hard would you go after that if, say, you're tree living and, like, based on what we've seen this year, is it a year to make a run? Is this group capable? I mean, I can't think of a team that has such highs and such lows where you can't figure them out and they can't figure themselves out, their identity. Are we winners? Are we closers? Can we finish games? And it's just right when you think they got it, they go off the planet. And I swear they're the most frustrating team to try to analyze from that perspective because you just can't put your finger on them. And based on what we've seen now, it's All-Star weekend. It's past the midway point. We're creeping up on the trade deadline. Where, if you had the reins of this thing, how hard would you go? What would you give up? Would you take a run at it or just kind of roll the dice?
This is the toughest market to be management in. I would not want Tree Living's job, but number one as a GM is to win. You know what number two is? Self-preservation.
Yeah.
So you only have so many bullets, right? And, everyone's talking about, the coach. I don't think they should have fired Keefe, but I knew Tree Living wasn't going to do that because that's a bullet fired. So the issue is now in any other market, I would say absolutely go out, do what you need to do, get who you need to get. But in this market, every single move is scrutinized. There's still articles was Pierre Engvall worth an 8-year. He's not even here anymore. Who cares? Who cares?
Probably me who wrote it.
I saw Yuri Talusty
right?
post.
Yuri
yesterday.
Talusty. Where's he been? Brian McClutz. What's going on with him? But
Marty Marincin.
if I'm Clark MacArthur, but if I'm Tree Living, if you get it right with this group, you are going to be a legend. And I think that is the factor I think is going to really help put this group over the top. And that's why Matthews and these guys are signing long-term because they know. You see Wendell Clark, you see Darcy Tucker. These guys don't have to pay for a beer. Every time they walk into arena, they're all-stars, they're superstars.
What do they win, though?
But Doug Gilmour, what did he do? Conference finals? What did he do? What was that, right? But
I like my chips with the dip, man.
Right? But they bled blue and white. So yes, you need to get these assets, but do you have the assets to get them without doing something like Masai did mid-season? Yeah. And yes, you can do that, but that's a bullet fired, and you only have X amount as management.
That's a good point, though. Like self-preservation, you don't think about that. Like, you just think Tree Living's going to do the best for the team, but he's also got to think about, well, if I can this guy and that doesn't work, what's coming down the barrel? It just gets closer and closer to him, and selfishly, self-preservation, you are thinking about that and you want to make it work with the pieces in place because then you're you have that buffer zone from the blame, really.
Yeah. And where's the analytics on guys that work out via free agency, right? You're looking at the moves that are already being scrutinized with who he brought in. Are you going to hit on every single guy? If you hit on 50 or 60% of the guys. So, again, you come in and you bring in 8, 9 new guys, you're going to miss on a lot of them. So, I think for him, I think he's going to take his time. If he's going to really remodel this roster, I think it's going to be in the offseason or with some other guys coming off the books a year from now. But they have the star power. They have some top players. They can do some damage if they do what they need to. They need to shore up the defense, though.
What are the chances they activate John Klingberg for the playoffs?
Who?
All right,
Where's
Stewie.
he?
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
That's Anthony Stewart. Jackie Redmond's coming up here. All right, welcome back to Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga and Jay Rosell here live on location at Sponsorship X. The following interview is brought to you by our friends over at Battlegrounds Axe Storing. Unlock the ultimate birthday party team building event or have a great date night with your significant other. To find a location and book an outing today, go to battlegrounds.com. That's BATL grounds.com as we welcome in the one and only Jackie Redmond.
What up?
Hi.
I'm so excited to hang with you guys in person.
It is a little different,
Right?
eh? You've been
It
on twice,
is.
3 times maybe?
Yeah, and every time
Always remote.
on the internet.
Staple of the show, but like you're
I
Carmen
don't know
San
about
Diego. Like where were you 2 days ago?
What day is it?
It's Thursday.
2 days ago.
Royal Rumble.
I don't remember. I was flying from wherever Raw was, Tampa, to Nova Scotia. Yeah.
I would just do a wrestling show with you. I wouldn't even talk.
I think
Leafs.
we'd do a great job talking wrestling, actually.
should.
It sounds like a plan. Make
Like
it happen.
A bit of a tee up for tomorrow. You'll know this guy. Adam Copeland's coming on.
Edge.
Well, he's Adam
Not
Copeland now.
anymore.
Well, in my world, he's Edge.
It's hard
That's
not
all I
to,
can
eh?
say about that.
Yes, we don't want to get Jackie in trouble. Appreciate you stopping by. What's your feel? I mean, you can feel the buzz though here, eh?
Oh, for sure. I mean, for me, it's kind of weird because I lived in Toronto for
Yeah.
so long. I mean, I went to college in Toronto. I then lived here for 7 years. So for me, it's a bit of like this weird, surreal, oh my gosh, this used to be my stomping grounds. And now it's all-star posters everywhere and people excited. So I'm happy to be back.
So what do you got on the docket? You said you're actually not as busy as you usually are, which surprises me.
No, I'm not. I mean, I have a bunch of interviews today, so I'm excited about that. So those will air on the Jackie Redmond show next week.
Nice.
So I'm excited to talk to some of the guys. One of the things I love about All Stars, you never know who you're going to get. Like, confirmed guests aren't a real thing. They're just like, hey, prep for 35 interviews, and then whoever you get is who you get. But I always love Media Day at All Stars, so I'll be taking part in that. And then I've got a few celebrity interviews mixed in throughout the weekend. But other than that, I'm hanging out. I'm catching up with people like you and enjoying the events, which is new for me. Normally, I'm on event level, behind the scenes, watching skills on a monitor and getting ready to interview guys for NHL Network. Same with the game. So for the first time in 7 years, I'll actually be in the bowl watching the event like a fan. So
Did you find interviewing these guys at this event, do they loosen up a little bit? Do they give you
Oh
more
my
goods?
gosh,
Like they're not
big
protecting
time.
their team and this and that. Do they let it loose a little bit for you?
Oh, it's like night and day. They're
nice.
way more open. And for me too, like I'm not somebody that exactly is asking hard-hitting questions all the time. I want to have fun. I want to talk about different things. So for me, it was always beneficial to be here just because I could ask more of the stuff that I wanted to ask. But yeah, guys are definitely looser, not taking things too seriously. They're not worried about their scoring drought or the losing streak that their team might be on, unless you're asking them about it. And if you're doing that at All-Star Weekend, you're kind of
doing
a
it
dink,
wrong.
you know? Like you're kind of a jerk.
I think you set a record, by the way, on Monday Night Raw for interviews. Did you keep track of how many people you interviewed on Monday Night Raw this week?
This week, I had 4.
It seemed like a lot more.
You know why it seemed like more? Because we switched it up a little bit,
Okay.
and I got to kind of throw back and forth with
Okay.
Michael Cole. So the hits were longer than they normally are. But yeah, four is a lot, though, for a backstage interviewer.
How are you enjoying sort of that transition? Obviously, you're still in the NHL world, but like I like the fact that you're like joining the two up, like hockey and wrestling. I think it's really
Trying.
cool. Yeah.
I'm trying to. It's so much fun. I keep telling everyone I've never felt closer to showbiz It's a whole different world. What's hilarious to me is when I'm doing games for TNT, or I'm working at NHL Network, or I'm at an event like this and I'm talking to hockey people. It's like the WWE fans come out of the woodwork, man. They're like, yo, how cool is that
It's
ball?
so
And they talk to
cool,
me like, hey, do you want to do an interview where we talk wrestling? No, I don't want to be like public about watching WWE. But I'm like, come on. So there's a lot of WWE fans in and around the NHL, which has been fun to kind of uncover over the process of being there.
How about the wrestlers themselves? Did you ever talk shop hockey-wise with those guys? There's big fans that we wouldn't guess?
No, I mean, people know that CM Punk is a Blackhawks fan, but I am not exaggerating. The only thing we ever talk about is hockey. Like, he's a hockey nut.
Yeah.
He doesn't just care about the Blackhawks. He follows the league. He knows what's going on in both conferences, every team. He's boys with Jeff Merrick. He is in. Like, he is a puck nut.
And he's good too at throwing
else.
them in the corner. It's true. No, you're right. I know where
He
you're
loves
going.
it. He loves hockey.
But he even mentioned in his thing, on his monologue on Raw, just the Tampa Bay Lightning. He knows how to fit it in too, and he knows how to build into the markets. I know last year he brought up the Islanders when he was at the where the Islanders play at Belmont. So like he intertwines that, and I think it's really, really cool how you have sort of that mix. So last year at All-Star Weekend, Matthew Tkachuk was the big topic of conversation. When we look back this year, who do you think we're going to be talking about?
Ooh, whoever wins the Millie.
Yeah,
I think,
is that a big
right?
thing for you? Like,
I think
are
it's
you invested?
awesome.
Totally.
I am
Yeah.
invested.
Yeah.
I am invested in who's going to win this skills competition. I'm invested in what they will say after winning the million.
Yes.
We've already had, some guys saying, oh, this person said that if they win, they're going to split it with the team and all this stuff. Like, I'm curious to see what the person who wins the Millie maybe says they're going to do with it. Maybe
King West.
Maybe they, every party drinks on me, so I'm curious to see that. And it's a different skills comp this year. And I know, a lot of people like to play cool guy and be like, oh, who cares? Like, I like it. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think the fact that there's $1 million on the line will make it more interesting. And I'm just curious to see how it plays out, because in the structure of it this year, I don't know that the best all-around player necessarily has the advantage. There's so many different skill sets at play, and it's almost like there's eliminations, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't make the cut line, you're out, and then it's on to a whole new skill set.
There's also like 18 Canucks here too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
Elias at home now.
It would just be really funny to me if coming out of All-Star Weekend in Toronto, someone like David Pastrnak was like the star of the show,
don't
like
like
a
that.
Boston Bruin
I
just
hate that,
ripping
actually.
it up
Wouldn't
in
put it
TO.
past them.
I'm actually kind of rooting for it. Does that make me a heel?
No, that's sort of a
It'd
heel,
be a
yes.
great
A little
story.
bit. I think it's going to be more competitive. Like the million for sure. Okay, I get it. But just the structure of it, where it's not just like, oh, we're going to go and do our lap and, oh, that last stride wasn't as hard as I could have gone. Like, well, I'm too cool. Like you said, these guys too cool.
I think in the first round especially, right? Because like
You don't
there's
wanna get
12
knocked
guys. You
off.
don't want to be the first guy eliminated.
Yeah.
It's
you
like
want to
going on
have the
Survivor
points.
and being voted off first.
I think it's big
Loser.
time bragging rights, the million too.
Yeah.
I'm sure whoever wins it'll do something cool with it, or say something that I'm donating this, that, or whatever. It's going to be neat and not just obnoxious, like thanks for an extra milli, but they'll do something cool with it.
Imagine it was.
Oh,
I got my eye on this chain. I can't
see
wait
ya
to get
later.
it.
Straight.
Last
But-
cue. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually excited for it. And I've been known to bash the All-Star break. Last year was a little bit gimmicky for me, but I'm legit excited for this because I think they're going to be going pretty hard. Like, they're competitive. They don't want to be the last guy to be like, well, fuck, my
And
skills
do you,
weren't really
I think,
there.
for a lot of people that think maybe the All-Star weekend or All-Star game has sort of like gone dry and isn't as popular anymore, you have to at least respect that the league's taking swings, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're trying some stuff.
How
And
much you can do,
some of
yeah.
it will work, some of it might not, but at least they're friggin' trying.
And there's lots of different people to please, right? The hardcore hockey fan and the kids, like we were talking about it. Some kids that otherwise wouldn't ever
Yeah.
maybe see a game, let alone all these guys in the same building at the same time. Can you imagine being a kid that loves hockey but maybe doesn't have the means to go to pay whatever it costs for a bloody ticket, especially in Toronto, gets to go to this thing and see, like, it would just be like overload to see
Yeah.
these guys' names rattle off beside them, and that's what it's all about. So I get the gimmick stuff, trying to get the kids involved too, but like you say, they're trying, they're mixing it up, they're not scared to change things up.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to try these things, right? And there will be people that criticize some of it, but I always have respect for people taking swings is my new thing that I say. So good on the NHL. But are we going to talk about his Leafs rant from the other day?
So what'd you think of that?
I watched it 3 times. I watched it once and I was like, I gotta roll this back and watch it again.
You know the side story about that. So obviously we have a lot of creative in the show, and we think about stuff after the fact. And we're like, this might pop off. I just had an epiphany. I was editing the show, and I'm like, I just remember sitting there for 3.5 minutes, just sitting back. I'm like, well, it's vacation day for Nick Alberga. I'm not going to say anything, but this happens routinely on the show. And then I'm like, I got to edit this and put it online, and I did, and boom.
You did well, understandably.
He was right, though. I think the best comment I saw from that, by the way, somebody's like, that's 8 years of Leafs hockey in 3 minutes.
I saw that comment.
That was so
I'm a
good.
big comment reader.
Yeah.
I always look. Oh yeah,
your
when
own
I'm looking
stuff.
not
Not
my own
supposed to
stuff.
do that.
Just everything. If there's a video that pops off, as
Yeah.
you say,
Oh, man.
and it's hockey related, I am always curious about how people are responding to it. So I'll go in. I'll mix it up in the comments. see
I
what
like
people are saying.
things that are a little bit confrontational.
He has a couple hot takes sometimes.
Oh, fuck. That came out of nowhere though.
But
I don't
for
even
that
know what.
one specifically, as a former player, is there any part of you that's like, the boys aren't going to be happy about this, or
It's
I
yes.
don't
funny.
want to rip particular players too
Yes,
much?
it's like this double-edged sword. Because when I was playing in Toronto, I was not the guy with all the pressure on his shoulders, obviously, but I was around the guys that were, and I felt it. And when you walk into that locker room, you're kind of on eggshells more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually some kind of alarm sounding that's not good enough, and people are talking about this, and the media is all over this story or that and whatever. It's difficult. And when people ask me what that was like, I was like, fuck, it's hard to win there, man. You are just scrutinized,
And now you're the
especially
guy.
the big boys.
He's the fucking
And
guy.
now I'm on the other side, and it's like, well, it's like, what do you do? Is it all just sunshine and rainbows? If they're rattling off cups, there's no problem, right? But they aren't. That's the thing. The biggest market in the world with the biggest following in the world that cannot get it done, that has the biggest block of winning that goes back to where no one alive basically even remembers. It's devastating for these people, and you got to say what it is. And if it, I
You
don't know,
gotta
these,
be real. You gotta keep it real. And I think that for the most part, people would watch that rant and feel that way. But I think what makes it sting more this season in particular for Leafs fans is watching the Vancouver Canucks, who have completely just turned on a dime.
They're frauds,
and
though. Let's
look
be
like-
honest. Vancouver.
Why are they frauds?
They're frauds.
Why? Give me a reason.
Well, New Jersey last year.
Yeah, but that's totally different.
Yeah, but once teams wake up in the playoffs.
Jersey didn't necessarily have a goalie. Vancouver has a stud goalie.
Fair enough.
take them to school.
I don't
And
know.
a Norris Trophy caliber
I'm a
defenseman.
proud proponent. You have to
back
feel
in
it.
them.
You have to take it in the playoffs before you succeed. And
What's the
Vancouver's
common-
just like
What's the common theme with teams that go deep? or win the
goaltending,
cup?
Jay.
I think defense, big,
That too.
strong,
Yeah,
rugged
you're right.
D, nasty D. And I mean, Vancouver's got that in spades. Some of these teams are and you look at ours, and it's like, how do we expect to win when we don't have the formula that ever wins? That's,
And here's the thing: even if they had a more solid back end, or I mean, Samsonov's been great coming into the break, but how long is that going to last? Look at the Florida Panthers last year.
Yeah.
By the time they got to the final, they were hobbling in. They had I think Ekblad was playing on a broken foot or something. So they had all these guys with all these injuries. If the Leafs get through 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and somehow go to a final, what happens when the injuries start piling up? Who's stepping up? Who's stepping in? I don't feel good about that.
Lots of ifs, Jackie. And you want to talk about interactions? There's plenty of those in the Royal Rumble. I would love to see an interaction between this guy and Mitch Marner. That would be theater.
WWE style?
After he said last year Mitch Marner wasn't strong enough to lift the Stanley Cup. Never mind win
Easy.
it. So we'll leave it at that.
Ooh,
Jackie, thank you
wow.
so much for your time today.
You guys are the best. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
There you have it, Jackie Redmond. Shane O'Brien from Missing Curfew coming up. All right, welcome back. This segment is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece Program and an unbeatable pricing policy. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com. For Missing Curfew, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Shane O'Brien. Are you putting a zin in right now?
I'm going to put a can of dips in there. I'm a little nervous with this
Is this
setup,
product
boys.
placement or what?
This is a nice setup here, boys. Hey,
You're on the casting couch right now, buddy.
Good budget here you boys got. I like it. Nationally, good setup.
How you been?
Right at the Royal York, hey, NHL. I walked in. I was like, where's Nick and the boys? They're like, oh, they're back there. I tucked in. I'm like, he's got his own little press conference center. So good for you, lads.
Would you say this is National League?
This is beyond National League. Yeah, I thought you said by the valet. I thought maybe we were just doing it outside or something. And I come in, you got your own production
It's
team.
on the sidewalk.
You got insiders waiting outside. You got Jackie Redmond. I mean, this is National League, bud.
A-list, buddy.
Yeah, this is,
A-list.
thanks
How you
for having
feeling,
me.
Toronto?
It's good to be home. I'm telling you, I'm loving the weather. I could have brought my leather jacket instead of my overcoat, but it's always good to be home, especially having the All-Star game here, right? And obviously the line of work that we do now in media, everybody's here. It's good to be home. So it's going to be fun 2 nights. We're leaving Saturday afternoon because we got to get back. We're going to the waste management. The wasted management is how I call it.
You get back here much, Obes, or
I do, yeah. So I got 2 nephews. I grew up about an hour and 20 minutes east of here in Port Hope. Shout out to my 2 nephews, Porter and Smith. They're 6 and 3. So I come home probably 3 or 4 times a year, full uncle duty, chasing them around, and it makes me realize that I'm not ready for kids just yet. So it's good. It's good for me. It's good for me. But yeah.
So how you feeling in general from the Maple Leafs perspective? Obviously, there's a lot of meat on that bone. We talk about them on a daily basis. It's been a very roller coaster season thus far.
Yeah, it has been. You know, honestly, to me, listen, they're a fun team to watch, right? If you got to pay your, $400 to go, watch a game at Scotiabank Arena, they're fun to watch. I mean, what Matthews is doing is absolutely insane. I was lucky enough in Anaheim. One of my buddies has some really good seats down first row in the corner, and just watching Matthews up close and just seeing how strong he is and how good he is with the puck and how good takeaways and stuff like that. So he's unbelievable. The way he plays every night, he brings it. The rest of the squad, listen, their back end's thin, right? Their back end's thin. Joseph Wall's coming back. We'll see. Samsonov's played well after he went back down to the jungle for a little seasoning. The jungle will do that to you, eh, Rosie? You go down for a little seasoning.
she'll get you.
You eat some cold pizza. You're like, all right, here we go. I better start stopping some pucks. So, listen, they got a fun team. I'm not putting my money on them to do anything in the playoffs, but hey, maybe they'll prove us all wrong. Yeah.
Would be nice.
Yeah.
What about Nylander? He's on fire.
He's been on
big old
vacation
coin
for
flip.
2
Like, do
weeks.
we sign him? Do we not? What does he want? He bets on himself, lights it up, signs on the dotted line, big ticket, mixed feelings. Most people are excited to get the guy the way he's playing. It's like, oh shit, lock this guy down.
Yeah.
Kind of shut it down.
Yeah. He's counting all his money, right?
Coincidence?
He's like, hey, you're supposed to be on the wall there. He's like, sorry, I was counting all those 92 bananas that I got. But listen, I mean, he's got 6 style. I think he wears his pants a little too high. Like, for a guy who's got 6 style, I like to see him bring those pants down a little bit. But listen, you know it, Rosie. Like, when you're a player, not that we were ever in that position to where we're like, okay, this is our time, but he was playing unbelievable. He's leading the Leafs in scoring. Do I love his 200-foot game? No. Do I love his defensive coverage? No. But if you compare him to Marner, in my opinion, I'd rather have Nylander.
Yeah, we talk about this on a daily basis. This team's flawed, right? Like, the worst thing about it, they're fucking doing it again.
Yeah.
Like, they're about to pay Mitch Marner this summer. I'm sure they'll find a way to bring back JT. They're doing it again.
Yeah, the thing about Tavares is, right, he's got 1 more year left at 11, right? So, and listen, I love Tavares. I think, he's a coach's dream. Obviously, he's had an unbelievable career. He does everything right. That's too much money. Now, if you can get Tavares at what factor get $4 million or something in Nashville. Now, if you get Tavares at $4 or $5 million, and the cap's going to go up, now we're talking. Like, I do believe. Listen, I was shocked that Matthews resigned. I had him pegged for if Arizona was going to get a new barn, which they didn't. I thought that would be a good opportunity for him. I also thought maybe LA, because Kopitar's about to retire. He decided to stay here. I do think they'll win one before Matthews leaves, but it's going to be near the end of it. It's not going to be anytime soon. The cap's got to go up. They got to get Tavares' 11 bananas off the books, and then their back end. I mean, I'm still dying for a right-handed defenseman to play with, Morgan
John Klingberg.
Riley. Yeah. Klingberg. I went to bat for Klingberg, and obviously that didn't work out too well. But a Drysdale, I know that they gave up a lot to get him in Philly, but I thought that would have been a good
player.
sit for Morgan Riley. Like, they just need a top pair right-handed.
You like
teammate.
Tanev?
I like Tanev as a PK guy, penalty killer, playoff guy, but I don't think you're going to put him and play with Morgan. But, I mean, Luke Schenn played with Morgan last year, and they played great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they still don't have that big.
We're big Schenner guys, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously good friends with him. Like, that, I would have loved for Schenner to come back, though. You know?
Yeah,
got
but
paid.
he got priced out of the market.
Yeah.
Like it was.
But
what
dude,
it
they
was.
signed Klingberg. Like, use that money and bring Shen back. That's what I don't understand.
It's frustrating when they go like they're so offensively heavy, and then when they make these signings, it's like a borderline offensive defenseman who didn't pan out. Like, do you think they're a move away, or are they 3 moves away?
They're a lot of moves away.
I know.
And I like TJ Brody. I played with Broads in Calgary. Nicest guy ever. I mean, didn't talk a whole lot. I'd be like, morning, Broads. And
Is he
like,
quiet?
I'm like, how was your night? Anyways, listen, I don't think he doesn't hurt you, but I don't think he helps you. Liljegren I like at times.
Yeah.
The kid I like is Connor Timmins, man. I don't know why this kid doesn't get more of an opportunity. I get it. I've been in the numbers game. It is what it is. Once a coach, labels you as a depth defenseman, that's what you're going to be. But he brings that right-handed. He can move the puck a little bit. He can skate a little bit. But with their back end, and I heard Rosie talking about, what it takes to win. Like, you look at Vegas last year, right? I took Vegas at the start of the year to win because their back end. They're 1 through 6.
So good.
And that's how you win.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing is, like, people want to try to draw comparisons. Like, everybody wants to bring up Florida in this market, how they pull it together.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul Marner's going to come on and be like, oh, these guys are soft, right? What Kachuk's dad did last year around this time, right? He's like, this team's fucking soft. Next game they come out, they beat the Leafs, they go on this magical run. Like, I don't know about you guys. I don't have that feel where the Leafs have like a switch they can flip, and it's like next thing you know, they're on a crazy run here.
Yeah, they need Big Walt to just get pinned and come out and say something about him. Yeah. No, listen, I think Sheldon Keefe's a good coach. I really do.
Yeah.
I think his time has run the course here. I thought, maybe a guy like Craig Berube who's out there in the wings. Like, you bring in a guy, like, you see what Torts is doing in Philly, right? Like, I love Torts. Like, he pulled me in his office every day and ripped me, but I still love the guy. Like, I think they need someone to come in here and be like, okay, yeah, you guys are all rich. You guys got all your money. You play in Toronto. Everyone loves you, but you got to come in here and kind of rattle the cages, so to speak.
All right, rattle the cages this weekend as well. Oops, thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Oaks.
Our guy Shane O'Brien. We're gonna wrap here, Rosie, quick. We're gonna be back tomorrow, right? Adam
bet.
Copeland's gonna be in the mix tomorrow, day 2 of our coverage here at Sponsorship X. So great job today, Rosie.
Yeah, we're pumped. It's nice to do this in person for once. I think we could get used to this. Maybe you'll move out west.
Unlikely,
that
but
makes sense.
at the Leafs Nation 401, where you could subscribe, DFO Live is coming up. We'll talk tomorrow. Take care.